Oh, hey guys. Welcome
Hey.
to This Is Not a Green Room, podcast that we do with friends and comedians of New York Comedy Club. We are at Pinch Studios in Astoria or Long Island City. I never know.
Queens.
Whatever.
Queens, New York.
I am Rachel, and we have Mr. Richie Redding today.
Yeah, dude.
I'm here too.
And
Yes.
Mr. Nick Angelo,
Thanks,
as
Rach.
always.
Thanks.
All right, I was getting to it. Jesus.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks.
Finally.
Finally. We've been trying to get you here for quite some time now.
You are a little late in the game, but you did when we had the other format, right?
No, I don't think I ever did it.
You never did the one we were actually in the green room of the club?
No, you were always big timing me. I would walk in and you'd be like, "Oh, you can grab a mic if you want to, you homeless person."
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't recall that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I said in my mind.
Yeah, I'd be reading minds. You don't know this, that Rachel got really pissed at me the other day because she misheard what I said. That you had your head, she had her hair a little bit different, and I was like, "Oh, I like it. It's like a flapper thing." And she heard in her girl brain, it's flatter.
It's flat.
She
Oh,
got
it's
all-
a flatter thing.
She got like super sad. Like,
But that's when I had my little Jufro going, right? That's why it didn't really make sense.
No,
to me.
there was a little like finger wave to it.
Yeah,
It
that's
looked
what-
cool.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
But yeah, you got shitty quick.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I was just like, wait, what? That's all I said. Like, I didn't.
No, there was real snark there.
Okay.
It was biting.
Like the roaring 20s.
I would not upset Rachel.
I mean, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you don't talk about a 49-year-old woman's hair. You know, that's the last.
Wow, you're fired.
I see
Get
what
out.
he did there. See, you see, listeners, what just happened there is Richie set up the joke as he's not going to upset her, and then he immediately upset her.
It's called laying a trap.
There it is.
Great way to start.
No, I am glad to be here, and you guys know I love New York Comedy Club. It's my home stage. I consider it, and I have the most fun there, probably. Yeah.
That's
Probably.
great.
No, I think I do.
Well, you got a lot of stuff coming up. We were literally just talking about this as we were going through the rundown. You always got something in the mix. You always got something cooking up. Like you had an album not too long ago that just came out. You have a nice little web series about the weird and wild news stories that I think are hilarious.
Well, you know, part of so like it's been like a few weeks since I put them out. I'm literally restarting it next week. But I went so far down the Epstein rabbit hole, and I'm still kind of there. That like, are you following this thing?
I mean, I don't know. Not really.
I love bizarre news. I
Yeah.
absolutely love bizarre news.
Me
but
too.
Nothing is like I've never done a deep dive and gotten like conspiratorial on.
See, I
something
used
before
to.
this.
I used to just stay up all night and watching YouTube videos, and
Really?
because I thought they were interesting. I thought they were
Okay.
fun, and like, there's a part of me that believes like I'm into it. I question everything, and then like after a couple months of doing that, I was legitimately like, they're out to get me. I was like getting paranoid. I was like, you know what? Even if they are, just it doesn't.
Yeah.
They're not after me. I'm not. They're after bigger fish, you
It
know.
does-
But it definitely made me like, "Eeh."
It makes you wonder what paranoid schizophrenics talked about before the CIA.
Yeah.
You know, it was just God. It
Yeah.
had to just be God following you.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that I joined the Epstein truther movement. I went to a meeting of these people.
What?
Dude, you will never find a bigger bunch of fucking Goonies than the Epstein truthers. It was like, I mean, it was like 20 guys, and one girl was leading it. This chick, Dasha from Red Scare, the podcast. And she's a very feminine lesbian until she raises her hand to speak, and she has like the biggest bush of armpit hair, and she keeps both her hands over her heads while she's speaking,
Oh, come on.
really rubbing it in. But she's like a pretty girl with red lipstick, white dress on, nice shoes, and then
That's
just
so weird
crazy
to me.
pit bush.
I'm so not a fan of women with hairy arms. It's disgusting.
Well, and if you are like,
how
let's
does that
go.
make you a feminist? Because you have hairy underarms.
Well, let's keep the hands in the pockets, lady. Like, you don't have to talk with your arms over your head. It was nuts.
Yeah, you don't really have to show it off, but
yeah, it's like,
I'm not really concerned about this woman's hygiene and underarms. I want to know what she was saying.
Well, part they're trying. So I'm on the Slack channel. I can turn you on to the Slack channel. It's everything Epstein is on that, but like they were basically trying to like create work groups. There's people staking out his mansion. Like there's people that are staking out like business associates that he had and shit like that. Like literally just hanging out there, and even after he died, which is bizarre. But like one guy shows up and he's got like a fucking. It's like just a bike that he clearly made himself. It sits way too high. It's made out of different parts. The wheels aren't even, all that stuff. And he's like, well, I'm saying we got 20 people here. We know they're all raping babies. Let's go citizens arrest these motherfuckers. Like the richest people in the world. Yeah.
Meanwhile, citizens arrest isn't really a thing. You know that, right?
Like, dude, half the people in this goon squad are missing a body part. Like, I don't think this is the group that's taking him down. Part of me just wanted to like just see what the truther shit was, but it's
I mean,
weird.
essentially what they're saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I tried not to dive into this one, but Jeffrey Epstein was basically running a child sex ring for the richest and most powerful people on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got busted, finally, like it's been like rumored for years, and then when he finally got busted, basically they were like, we got to kill this motherfucker because if he talks, we're all going down.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's kind of right. So here's the I'll give you the few minute version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a 2-time college dropout, right? He's a Coney Island guy, and he fails out of college twice. Inexplicably gets brought onto the Dalton School, which is one of the like most elite New York high schools that there are, like prep schools, by this guy named Donald Barr, who's former OSS, which precedes the CIA. And that guy, so he hires him. That guy, so like OSS never retired kind of thing. He brings him into this world, and his son is William Barr, the Attorney General, who said he's going to look into it. So just right there, the beginning, the first and last person that have say on this guy coming into this whole circle are father and son. By the way, that guy in his spare time wrote a book about intergalactic pedophilia, about running a ring of humans fucking underage aliens. That he wrote a sci-fi book.
The laws are different in space.
Absolutely, yeah.
The long arm of the law doesn't stretch to Mars.
Right. This valid point, but you can't get him on the red planet. But so he's like inappropriate with with the kids there. The teachers didn't like him. And in a meeting, a parent-teacher meeting, he gets hired by the CEO of Bear Stearns to become his own personal analyst. And he has no position as an analyst, no experience as an analyst ever before. He gets promoted within like 2 or 3 years. He's a partner in Bear Stearns. And then Les Wexner, who is definitely a mobbed-up CEO of L Brands, which owned... Victoria's Secret, amongst other shit. He gives him full power of attorney over him, inexplicably, and also all of his money to control in a hedge fund. So he only publicly ever had one client. That's the only person that ever actually they know that gave him money. Other people, like there was these $10 million deposits and shit, but they don't know if he was blackmailing people or if it was like pay to play. That like he would get you the girls and then you would pay him for it. But when he finally got busted, there was hundreds if not thousands of DVDs in his safe, and they had it on video of these coming out. You never actually saw what was on them, but the name on all of them was Young Blank, a girl's name, and Blank, a guy's name. Hundreds if not thousands. And
I never understand the point of documenting these things.
Well, blackmail.
Bribery.
Yeah.
So he gets you give you money. He gets you your underage. You do it,
I see,
and then
I see.
he's filming it. And it's like, oh hey, by the way,
yeah.
Maybe I was thinking more
you.
of the lines
and
of R. Kelly. Like I don't get why he would ever keep.
Yeah. It's not like self-incriminating necessarily. I'm sure he does have that, But so the when they finally catch him after like years, decades of allegations against him from all kinds of girls, and there's supposedly like 12-year-old girls were involved, and there's one model that met a 15-year-old Swedish girl, and at his house she didn't have a passport, and she was like terrified. It was like, yeah, my parents sold me to Jeffrey. So it's but that's all like hearsay stuff. But what they know is that when he got arrested back in 2005, he got a plea deal in 2007 or 8 that was the most unheard of shit ever, which was he got a 1-year sentence that was commuted to like he stayed in a county jail and he was allowed to leave during the day. He just had to sleep there. And the charge was soliciting prostitution from a minor, but the girl wasn't a prostitute. So they basically made her a whore to like make these charges go away. But all of his conspirators, named and unnamed, all got immunity. So it should have been like a 10 to 15 year sentence, and everybody involved should have also gotten some kind of charges on him. But named and unnamed, it just went away. And the guy that gave him that position that deal, that sweetheart deal, that state attorney became the secretary of, I want to say, labor under Trump. And Trump was on the plane. Trump knew him for sure. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the day that he first attempted suicide, I'm sorry, I'm totally turning this into something that's not supposed to be.
No,
so the day that he first attempted suicide, and that's air quotes there, he had he had bruises around his neck, and the guy looked this fucking guy up. I think it's either Frank or Nicky Tartaglione was his cellmate, who was also, when they tossed the cell, found that he had a miniature cell phone on him somehow that only had one number incoming that ever called him. This guy is cartoon jacked. He's a former hitman, he's a former cop that killed 4 people in a coke deal. He's the most absurdly jacked human being you'll ever see. And he happened to be his roommate. And then they took him off of suicide watch after like 7 days, which doesn't make any sense, after he tried to kill himself. Got him in a cell by himself, and then the cameras didn't work when he died. Also, he died like the day after they released. They said that like he was going to be ordered by the court to release all of his documents, and he just up and killed himself when he had a chance to sing like a canary in a way that probably could have gotten him out of everything just by taking so many people down.
Wow.
But the week before he killed himself, somewhat inexplicably, the FBI reported or published a memo saying that conspiracy theories on the level of Pizzagate are domestic terrorism and are going to be treated as such, and QAnon. So a week before the weirdest death ever, the FBI says that anybody that's involved in these conspiracy theories is basically a terrorist.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about it on the podcast.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
That's great. Just so everyone knows, we are not involved. We are just simply discussing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
and the
we're
only
that
person,
brilliant.
there's 2 people that that charges could very well be brought against, which is his personal assistant, who was apparently his ex-girlfriend, who thought that keeping him in a fresh supply of young girls would somehow lead to them getting back together, which is an amazing ex-girlfriend. I can't get my CDs back from like the 90s. This bitch is hooking it up, dude. But so Ghislaine Maxwell, she like could be brought to justice, but this week a federal judge declared that because Epstein is dead, there's no point. It's a moot point by trying to bring anybody else to justice. What? And by the way, her father was a cajillionaire who was a Mossad agent. He was like an asset for the Mossad that they kept in the millions, and he accidentally fell off his yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, and that's how he died.
Accidentally fell off his yacht.
Right. That
Don't you hate it when that happens?
That yacht was the lineage of that yacht was Khashoggi, the guy that the dude in Saudi Arabia, Epstein, and then Donald Trump. It's crazy, dude. It's like I'm not into conspiracy theories, but it is so fucking nuts.
That's wild.
If we don't have an episode next week, we're trapped in Indonesia. Send help.
Yeah.
We've been kidnapped because Richie came in here and just dropped some serious conspiracy on us.
We fell.
Oh,
We all fell.
We all fell off the yacht.
Yeah. Sorry for the diatribe, but that's what's cooking. You got to get on the Slack
Mind
channel.
blown.
So that's what you've been up to.
That's what I've been up to. Yeah.
But this all okay. So this all comes because you do research for weird and crazy news because you essentially do what's that? It's a Facebook series or
Facebook, Instagram.
It?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pitching it as a real show, Really Real with Richie Redding. That I love just the weirdest news and even the stuff that goes viral that's clearly fake, the real clunky stuff. It's kind of my favorite. You know, like can of biscuits explodes inside of a man's ass in Walmart. I know Kate Wolf shared it. I think Rosebud shared it. Like smart people like see these things. They're like, yeah, it happened.
Yeah. So they just want it to happen. It's like that's so outrageous. Like, oh, it looks good enough.
Yeah.
I have to also take an image of you, like the full on shebang with your Tupac shirt and your socks.
Yeah,
there's
some contrast happening.
Can we describe the socks since this isn't a video podcast?
I would say they're old timey tennis rackets and tennis balls.
In lime green.
I don't know if it's lime green, but I also have my Pap smear jeans on. I don't know.
You got a full hole in your schlong could come out.
Yeah.
Richie?
No, I don't have to worry about that.
How do you have a
temperatures under 70 degrees?
Right,
that's not happening.
I don't know. Somehow I just wore them that right there. That's where it
Can you imagine if a chick came out in those jeans?
should be a whore.
She would be like the woman that showed off her bush for their arms, but
yeah, but
Southern
different.
bush.
God,
The South
meatball.
bush.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a mess right now. My daytime gear is not always on point.
Yeah.
Thanks for snazzing.
Did you ever encounter a guy with like crazy balls?
I don't really pay attention to balls.
But like balls.
Wait a minute. There's too many things that just were said here. First off, I need you to describe what crazy balls mean, and second off, what do you mean you don't pay attention to balls?
Well, I think crazy balls.
Maybe that's why you're single, Rachel. Pay attention to the balls.
That's gonna be the trick.
Yeah, could be.
First of all, is that like a thing? Like guys need ton of attention paid to their fucking balls?
Some guys like ball play.
Yeah, I see real contempt for balls in your eyes there.
Yeah, maybe it's not that you're not paying
fucking
attention to balls, that you
balls.
just downright dislike the balls.
There's other things I dislike more, but like I just think that they have an interesting consistency that I'm not accustomed to.
Look, don't get me wrong. I'm giving rim jobs left and right, but I skip right from the pipe.
If you don't wax your taint, I'm out of there.
Oof. But well, let's get back to this. But crazy balls, I feel like, cannot be ignored.
But what is a crazy ball? Like a huge one?
Someone who believes in Pizzagate.
Huge balls, long balls. I had a buddy in college that we called Big Daddy Long Balls. And
why do guys show their private parts to each other?
They're
like,
unescapable. Dude, Long Balls had the craziest ball bag that like they were normal size. They were just like normal fella, girth and width. But like he had to throw his nuts over his leg to poop.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Like he could like legit almost flush his own nutsack if he wasn't careful. It was crazy. And at parties, like there would just be like a little chant would get going of long balls, long.
It's his fault for telling you.
And this guy, he was like the most straight-laced dude in my fraternity, and then just like he'd be in the middle of talking to a girl. It was at like formal events, like he'd be in a tuxedo. Like, excuse me, 1 second. And he'd like stand up on a table, and he could dig into his fly, and without taking dick out, he could just pull out balls, and they would still go like halfway to his knee.
What?
He
needs plastic surgery for that.
Don't you think he looked into it? It's called cellulosis.
There's a
and
thing.
Yeah, you can't cut that much bag without
neutering yourself.
Yeah, nicking the ventricle.
He doesn't need plastic surgery. He needs a nice pair of slacks.
You know how like women get breast lifts?
Yeah.
Like
Crazy.
the same, no?
I don't think it's the balls.
Crazy
balls
part.
Just hang low.
The crazy part here is that it skips every generation. So his father couldn't relate, but Grandpa could.
That's nuts.
Hey, since we're doing ball talk, have you ever heard the story of when Mr. Belvedere sat on his own nuts?
No.
Yeah. Jay Moore told the story, and Jay Moore, being Jay Moore, was not actually there, even though he told it in first person. It was Adam Sandler's story that he was there for, it was like his first day on set for a table read, and Mr. Belvedere comes in. We all remember Mr. Belvedere, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That
Bob
British-
Uecker was in it.
Yeah.
Wasn't it
No.
supposed to take place in
I think it was the same night as Newhart.
No, Bob Uecker.
Bob Uecker was Newhart.
No, Bob Newhart was Newhart.
Oh.
I think Bob
I'm
Bob
sorry.
Uecker was the dad in Mr. Belvedere.
Oh.
I think
I am
it
going to.
may have-
I was wrong.
I think it may have took place in Pittsburgh, didn't it?
I think so. I was wrong to challenge you.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just have a question because this is something that's always baffled me, and I've never like said it out loud. When you know how guys ride bicycles and they have like those long, like really hardcore like seats that are really hard, like that doesn't kill your private parts.
Rachel can't stop thinking about balls now.
Yeah.
Richie's in the middle of telling a story about Mr. Belvedere, and you're like,
Sorry.
hold on, wait a minute.
Well,
you know about balls and bikes?
But I
Tell
didn't
me
wanna
about
come back
that.
to balls. I wanted to finish out. with-
Maybe she does. Maybe her disdain for them is just ball curiosity.
Yeah, I fear things I don't know about.
Yeah. You just got to nuzzle up to them, you know?
Oh.
Just motorboat them. See what happens.
Oh.
Yeah. Just motorboat them balls.
That's a level of comfort that I don't have with anyone right now.
Yeah, but no, it can be very hard on the taint. The package is tucked up when you're on a bike, but they do make a thing called Gooch Guard, which is a cream that can avoid your
Gooch guard.
that'll avoid irritation. But Mr. Belvedere,
Okay.
he comes in. He was the last one into the room, and he was in like a velour jumpsuit or some shit. And he sat down and just howls and like doubles over. And they had, so he must have just had big, long, old man balls, and he was a plump boy.
Yeah.
Got right on top of him, and they carted him out. And Adam Sandler's there, just like trying not to die laughing. It's his first day on set for like a one-dayer, and it's just they had to see Mr. Belvedere just go out shrieking in pain because he said he's on his own nutsack.
Oh my goodness.
So
you are currently listening to This Is Not a Green Room, brought to you in part by Gooch Guard.
and
Guest here is Richie Redding. Richie.
but the craziest balls, I feel like comedy happens in threes. I can actually show you. So
I don't want to see balls, bro. Like,
I
I don't.
disagree, and I know what you're thinking.
Comedy happens in threes, but we're talking about balls, which happen in twos. So
Yeah, but
I'm a little worried about what
Pairs-
you're
This
about to
is
show
where
us.
our podcast is gone.
pairs of trays.
You
And
see what happens, Amy, when you're not here?
And I know what you're thinking, that this is a visual
This is on
format.
Instagram?
I have a picture. It is a visual format, and normally I think that showing somebody something doesn't work out. But there's a guy that goes around. Have you ever seen the guy in the village that goes around screaming at people?
I mean, that's everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's
this
anywhere.
guy is real
You ever
famous
seen the
for it.
twerker guy?
Oh yeah,
He's great.
Fuck that guy. Have some dignity in your begging. Breakdance or something, motherfucker. But this guy goes around. He's pretend crazy, but he goes screaming like screaming in people's faces. But he tries to give you a thing, but he walks up at first like, "Would you like to take a flyer for helping out the shelter of the homeless?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Ah!" Screams in your face. I want to knock this guy out so bad. We see him coming down the street, and we all kind of brace for it, like, fuck this guy. And he stops. We're at the Pear, and he stops at Panchitos, the Mexican restaurant right there. And he pulls his pants down and takes a dump on the table.
On your table?
On their table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I get a picture of it as he's doing it, and we have a good laugh, right? But then he wipes his ass with one of these pieces of paper, and he comes up to us like, "Would you like to take it?" Like, if you don't get the fuck away from me, dude. So, like, now every time we see this guy, we're ready to swing, because he wipes his ass with the papers he's trying to give out. It's psychotic. But, so I tell that story.
And no one locked him up.
No, he's just one of these trolls of the village. So a couple days later, another comic, Zach Petrovich, is like, "Dude, I just saw him taking a dump in public." And
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. At all.
I think you do.
No, I really don't. I really don't, because I'll barf everywhere.
There's no poo-poo. There's no poo-poo. So here's the thing. I was wrong. That it was, when I saw flop down, was not poop. It was the craziest avocados.
Holy smokes.
I mean, actual rotten avocados.
That looks like a center and mid snap to the quarterback.
You've spent so much time on this.
Wait.
You can't look away, can you?
Wait, what's going? Like, he just has it in his hand?
No,
he actually put it up his butt.
No, those are his balls.
That is what his balls look like when he's taking a dump. They swung upwards.
That fist.
Momentum, like a pendulum.
This is why he wants to, like, he doesn't care about life anymore.
Well, this is also why I asked, have you ever seen some crazy balls? Because what do you do, Rach? What do you do?
I don't even know what you do with the normal ones.
But what if it's Mr. Right?
What if everything he likes?
You kissed a little bit, there was some. Like date one, you guys make out.
What do you think?
Date two, there's some over the pants stuff. He makes you wait for it.
Those are the ones that get me too.
Anticipation is building, and then day 3,
Jesus Christ,
out comes the rotten avocados. What?
Like the big crazy balls?
Have you never been with a white guy?
No.
What? Ever?
Ever. I've never had one approach me.
What? Did you know this?
I knew she had a type.
I don't have a type.
But I didn't know that it was because of a lack of effort.
One of the worst things a girl has ever told me after we hooked up was she was like, "Oh man, you know what? I just realized you're the first white guy I ever fucked." And I was like, "Cool." And I fucked like 100 guys. Holy shit!
Well, at least she didn't realize that mid fuck.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh,
yeah."
Stop.
Yes, she was very vocal about it.
No, I've never been approached by one, so I got accustomed, I feel like, to any type of other, because white guys growing up always told me I was like chubby or fat.
They told you that?
Mm-hmm.
To your face?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kids are brutal.
Yeah.
And I also, I mean, obviously the listeners can't see my body, but like I have.
She a little thick.
Yeah. So
she
like,
a little thick, that's all.
But like I grew up in like a white area in a white school, so they all just made fun of me about having a big butt. And then when J-Lo came about, it kind of like
changed the game.
Everything.
Yeah.
Rachel's currently laying on the couch right now.
It's become a therapy session.
But so and these black fellas, they don't mind you not touching the balls at all.
Out of control.
You're just drowning in pipe.
So like the last
can't reach those.
Yeah, she doesn't know what to do with the balls because she never got there.
Yeah, she made it halfway. Keep throwing up.
Oh my god. Good times, guys.
So let me show you this. This is the best Google review that I've ever left. It currently has 2,443 views. I keep getting notices from Google that people like my my review. Panchitos. great margaritas, but sometimes bums with long balls poop on the tables. And it has the picture of the guy.
It's accurately very similar
And
to
these
the other
fucking,
Oh my God.
but
So he did it at the tables outside. It wasn't like he came in
no,
the
outdoor,
restaurant.
outdoor
Oh,
cafe.
I thought it was
But-
like inside. I was like, this is wicked.
But like, I left a review one time that was 4 stars, and I was like, pretty good, but not great. And I immediately got an email from, or a message on that review saying,
Not enough
"Hey,
information.
please come back on your again, and we'll try our hardest to get 5 stars." This place, I post a picture of a guy shitting on the table, and they don't even contest it.
Because
Yeah.
they're probably so used to it. Why does he pick that place, though? Because it's just in the middle of everything?
low tables.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think if you had all the mental illnesses, that table would probably look like a possible shitter.
All the mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So the last guy that I dealt with, though, I actually asked him about it. I
Dealt
said,
with.
well, whatever. It was a long distance thing.
Sounds professional.
And
Last
There's a long
client.
distance thing. I know. We've already established that.
Yeah.
Okay.
About a foot,
I hate you, Nick.
about half a yard.
But I actually asked him. I remember I was like, is this something that you need, like me to pay attention to? And he was like, nah. He's like, some guys care. I don't really care. He's like, it doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
But this is something that most guys need for
No,
you to pay
I wouldn't
attention.
say most, but it's
I mean, I think if there's a beach, if you're getting a beach, if it's all head the whole time,
Uh-huh.
then it's just going to be over too fast. So you can kind of stretch it out a little bit.
Okay.
With-
cup the balls, stroke the shaft.
Yeah,
So much
but,
work.
But you never want to hear, like you never want to like suck so hard that it's like there's a pop when you let them out. That's gonna get you slapped. That's goddamn.
Oh, you have to put your mouth on them?
Yeah.
Holy Christ. Well, I think it's safe to say that this episode has solidified that none of us are going to be on SNL anytime soon.
Well, there's a whole. If you want to dig into this, there's a very silly porn series called Ball Hog. It's like it must be some sort of like weird obsession that some guys like, that it's like just an hour of a dude getting his balls sucked on. It's super weird.
Why would you want to watch that? And I understand receiving it, but why would you want to watch
I've only
that?
seen the intros. I've seen super cuts of these girls say, "My name's so and so, and I'm a ball hog." that is very worthwhile just to hear a girl refer to herself as a ball hog.
I tell you what, your YouTube history has got to be fucking weird.
Oh, are you recording this, by the way?
You know, I swear to God, out of all the podcasts we've done, I would never have thought you would be the dirtiest of all the fucking guests that we've had on.
I don't think it's
not
necessarily that
dirty,
he's
but it's
dirtiest.
gone
He's just
so
very
left.
well,
It's because Amy's not here.
No,
Brought up balls.
I'm definitely notorious for taking podcasts off the rails. That's
perfect.
that's what the fuck
I
do.
had a podcast a couple years ago called Off the Rails because I just wanted to talk about everything, so I just start talking, and God, 20 minutes in, I was like, where the hell, how did I get here?
Yeah.
But I stopped doing that because I was just completely nuts. Couldn't sell it. Wasn't marketable.
Have we discussed, do you know how much of a weird doppelganger situation Nick has with my friend Pat Barker? It's uncanny. If
Have you met this guy?
He's real handsome.
Yeah, dude, bucks.
Real handsome fella.
No, it's seriously insane. He was a comic from Philly that's now in LA, and he does a lot of the roast battle stuff. And
Oh, you
he
gotta
was
show
actually
me
a
a
writer
picture.
on this last roast.
Yeah, Richie told me, like Richie,
The
when
voice.
I first met Richie,
Voice too?
The voice.
like he came in the club, and I was, bullshitting with him, and then he just like kind of paused and stared at me. And I was like, did I just say something to like offend this guy? And he's like, this is weird. He's like, do you know Pat Barker? I'm like, never heard of him.
I thought you were him at first.
Yeah, you were like literally looking me up and down, like, am I getting punked? What, Pat? Is that you?
Yeah.
People think I'm Corinne all the time.
Yeah.
Corinne Fisher. Like, everyone sees the picture on the wall and they look behind the bar and they're like, oh, is that you? I'm like, no. I don't think I really look like her.
So that's what he looks like. But
First of all, that doesn't even look like him.
The voice is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The golden
And
pipes.
they're both super slim as well, so that kind of sells it, They've got
That's
that.
quite
Yeah.
the through line here.
Uh,
Nico was here the other day, actually, because when Nico was on the podcast, first 10 minutes was him just like ripping into me about being overweight. It's just like, well, I didn't even say anything yet. And then he was in here a couple days ago. And the first thing he says to me, "You been working out?" I was like, "I don't know if
What
you're
is this
fucking with me."
Yeah, like,
or...
why is he so
No, I think he was
obsessed?
being serious. I think he was like, "Hey, you look like you slimmed down a little bit." I'm like, "Well, that can't be true." But
Nico's just too young to get fat yet. That's all.
He doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
But he's like really thin. Like,
Right.
do you think he just has
I mean,
some
you've
weird?
seen him naked, but
Oh,
no.
okay.
I was joking. I don't even know if that's true.
Yeah.
No.
That would be like statutory.
Hot.
We've already talked about that earlier in the podcast. Let's not go back to
What's
yeah.
what's the biggest age gap you've ever had?
I do tend to attract younger dudes. I feel like because most guys my age are married with kids. So
And that's a no.
married is a definite no. Kids actually prefer them to have kids because then they won't want me to pop out any. So like, well, most of the time, so it's fine. I'd rather them have that experience with someone else.
Right.
But I mean, I won't do it anymore. But when I was like in my late 30s, like this guy, he was like 24, 25, but he was like way smarter than me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was fine.
Well, not with that attitude.
So he just tricked you.
No. He told me his age. He told me his age, and he was really, really smart. I liked him a lot, but it just was too much.
Why was he really, really smart? Like, what was he doing? Was
Like,
he like
just
he got the bill and knew exactly what 20% was the tip? Like, oh my god, this guy's brilliant.
Nick. No, he really, to me, he
No,
was.
he was
smarter
black.
than-
10%.
Wow, Richie.
Still got it.
Okay, I want to derail this derailment because of what you just said there. You used to do you still do the ratchet ass trivia?
I haven't for a while just because it was a ton of writing and like it just I don't know, it wasn't getting the views for some reason.
Can you explain what ratchet ass trivia
Yeah,
was?
I mean I want to do it again as a live show just because it's so fucking. I mean that
be
is
on it?
I think now's the
Yeah.
time to do it too because everyone's so uptight.
yeah. So
And it was just like one of those like, well,
I love a good stereotype.
the cast of characters. Do you remember this? The cast of characters for the for Ratchet Ass Trivia was I was the host. The co-host was Matt Richards posing as an African exchange student, and he stayed in character the entire time. And the judge was the drunk Jewish judge, and it was Sam Rubinoff, who was the most method actor in the world. And he showed
just
up.
got hammered.
Dude, he showed up in his grandfather's tuxedo.
No.
Already in a blackout, like
Yeah.
just completely fucking knocked out on his feet. And then we had Brian Kim as the racist Asian bookie, and he was like going out into the crowd in between questions and like trying to get people to make bets with him and shit. He's smoking, but he's just saying racist shit about white people to white people. Like, come on, round eye! Oh, your bad SAT, you go now. Like, dude, it was such a shit show. Super fun, yeah. And me and Matt actually pitched that as a TV show. And it was going great until we got to that last round where we play a game called Guess That Race, where I read you I read you a crime, and then you have to guess the race of the guy that did it.
I submitted a writing packet to a show. I won't name what it is, but I had something very similar to that.
Really?
Yeah, I obviously didn't get it. So
Yeah, apparently
here we are.
Yeah, but I mean, it was we pitched it at a few different networks. The one that it went worst was what was it? It was it's now defunct. It was
Spike?
Esquire. No, Spike loved it. It almost went
I
to
was about
Spike.
to say it sounds right up their alley.
No, so we always said like it leans male. It should be a young male crowd. It's an inappropriate show, but it's really funny. They sent 6 millennial women in to play the game with us. Like that's how we were pitching it. And we get to the final round, and the boss just goes, "No." And we're like, "You don't want to play this game?" "No." And she just stared at me. It was like, so we should. It felt like my closer was pulling my pants down and nobody laughed or clapped, so I just had to pull my pants up and walk out of the room. Okay, so we're not doing race jokes for some reason. It's 2018. I thought that would fly.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
timing maybe of
like
it.
you been? I don't. Pardon me if I don't say this properly, but like you work urban rooms. You've opened up for Cat Williams,
Sure.
so you're very comfortable in that lane.
I get away with murder with racial humor.
Are you worried at all? Like nowadays, that it's just like you just got to watch what you say. I mean, I get it. Like,
Well-
look, sometimes jokes aren't funny and people get offended. I understand that, but
Yeah, I mean,
other times I think people should lighten the fuck up.
yeah, I mean, I wonder if there's something that I said that can be dug up. Every comic has thought about
I got
that.
10 minutes ago.
But yeah, but the thing being that I think the reason I love racial humor, this is how I'll distill this, is that I think that my attraction to racial humor is that it's like graffiti. It's like if it's bad, it's graffiti. If it's good, it's art.
Yeah.
And racial
I love
humor
that.
walks the line of if it's bad, it's racist. If it's good, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's a razor's edge.
Yeah,
that you have to
it really
be on.
is.
And like, one of the best compliments I ever got.
I'm sorry to cut you. I did not know that you opened for Cat. Like, how did that even come about?
That was years. I mean, it was like 3 years, but I'll get back to that.
Okay,
but,
sorry.
Yeah, the best compliment that I ever got was I think it was Gordon Baker Bone, that he was like, dude, when you do racial humor, it's like the calls coming from inside the house. It's nothing racist, but it's like I do take the time I love getting to know other cultures and stuff like that. And like I've worked with Pakistani and Asian guys, and it's like I'm asking them questions about their culture constantly because I want to know about it. I mean, probably to make fun of it, but there is something much different about a well constructed, good insight into a culture or some kind of comparison, as opposed to a shitty stereotype.
Yeah, because there's something that goes on in comedy that a lot of people may not know about. Is if you've ever spent any time at an open mic, especially outside of New York or LA, not majority, but there is a good handful of comics. They're just racist, and they're just telling racist jokes, and it's very cringeworthy.
Yeah.
So then anytime someone does come up and tells a good, funny joke that's poking fun of someone else's culture, it's like it gets blurred. The lines get blurred. And I don't know. It's hard to... Now everyone wants to be offended, and everyone's so afraid to like just lighten up a little bit and like have fun at each other's... Like, I'm making fun of you. I'm making fun of myself. You can make fun of me, but we're doing it together because we want to laugh and enjoy it. Like, I'm not trying to spew hate.
Right. My current favorite bit. Have you been in the room for this?
Maybe.
That it's like, so look, I'm trying to be more, I'm not doing the whole bit, but it's like, I'm trying to be more PC, trying to be more woke, but I came across a really tough hypothetical recently. So just imagine we're all on a plane together, this whole audience, we're in a plane, the plane goes down, we're on a deserted island, there's no food. One person from every race has died. We have to eat a human being. White guy, who do you eat first? And like just putting one person on the spot for that of like, what race are you going to eat? Dude, it's the most ridiculous.
In the crowd?
Yeah. It's the most ridiculous reaction. Like, I don't love it as a bit, but as crowd work, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a good crowd work because you basically can just go off how they respond.
But I mean, just putting a white person in 2019 in that position, and there's no right answer. It's like,
and if they answer too quick, it's like, whoa,
yeah,
you thought about this.
Yeah, there's so many ways that it can go, but then the funniest part of it is that it's only white people that are uptight about it. It's like, black people, who you think taste best? The black people. Thank you. Yeah, it's so ridiculous, man. I'm gonna build it out.
What's the general consensus of what they say?
Well, I've also crafted it because at first they're trying to say whoever's the biggest or the fattest. It was like, no, everybody is of the exact same body type and size. white people usually say white, and then it's like, why? Because I don't want to be racist. Like, you pussy.
God.
You fucking pussy. You don't think these
That-
people
it's more racist
want
than
you to eat their dead family members?
Wait, there's affirmative action. You
That's-
have to pick the black guy.
the
It's
thing.
racist if you don't pick him.
Exactly.
You don't want to eat the black guy.
Yeah.
That's racist.
You're too good for minorities?
Oh, your palate is so sophisticated
Yeah.
that you couldn't put a black guy in your mouth?
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's
Which comes back to Rachel's dating.
so,
But
Rich,
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. We got to actually kind of wrap this
Yeah, I
up
was
a little
about to
bit.
say,
But
we
I
should
was,
gotta get
I
out
mean,
of
we,
here.
were,
gonna-
we were just getting rolling.
I was just going to ask about black pubes, but
That's maybe next week.
I don't pay attention to those either.
are you blacked out drunk every time you hook up?
I don't even drink.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like the only bartender probably that doesn't drink.
Yeah, that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
The bartender that remembers everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Everything. Why don't you let all of our wonderful listeners know where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me. Everything is at Richie Redding, and I am relaunching a new podcast that I do with my veterinarian girlfriend. It's called We Don't Deserve Dogs. It's the only vet/comedy podcast. It goes way off the rails, but it's all kinds of bizarre animal stuff that you
Like her stories of like what like
No,
crazy-
it's comics with pets talking to vets. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's the least narcissistic interview you can ever do. It's you just get to know somebody strictly by their pets.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's surprisingly fun.
You gotta have Costa on. He's obsessed with his dog.
Yeah, we know Walter. At least it's his vet.
And Josh and Terrence.
Yeah, that
Oh,
dog
yeah.
we don't want over the house. You know how he posted all that stuff about that dog needs a muzzle? That dog, his dog has attacked like 3 dogs.
Yeah.
Damn.
He usually
Love you, Josh.
keeps that part out of the story. So.
Yeah, it was the only podcast that we ever cut down because there was so much blood in it. We're like, God, dude, it's a lot.
Well, when's the relaunch? You have an
November 4th.
November 4th.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to have you and your lady back on the show and talk about the podcast.
Yeah, actually,
We could talk a little bit more about
she's very
dogs
fun.
and cats and not so much about
Yeah, and why you're
balls
leaving
and
the cats
conspiracy
out
theories.
of
No, I mean, it's just going to be, we're just talking about balls on that.
Dog balls.
You know, you can get,
You know what? Do you know? Oh,
you know, people have gotten earrings made out of their neutered dog's testicles.
well, they need to go somewhere
So
else.
they can hear them coming.
The
All right, that's it for us, everybody.
Wait,
Thanks for tuning
No.
in.
No,
That's it.
Wait. You know what balls I do like? I love cat balls. Have you ever seen cat balls?
No. Actually, yeah, I
They're
had
the cutest thing ever.
I had a cat that had balls like a dog.
They were little fuzzy things hanging out of the side. They're
Yeah.
so adorable. Like I can't. But yeah, those balls I like.
So,
But not to touch, just to look at.
so if there's any black dudes out
We should have
there,
ended on the
Yeah.
hearing coming bit.
if there's any black dudes out there with the 10-inch pipe and tiny little black ball or cat balls,
Call me.
yeah, holler and no pubes. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to This Is Not a Green Room. We are available wherever you get your podcasts, including Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and iTunes, as well as the Laughable app. And wherever you're listening to us, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating so that other people can find us and love us too. You can find us online at Not a Green Room on Instagram and Twitter, and you can check out the club at New York Comedy on Twitter and NY Comedy Club on Facebook and Instagram.